Broke up with my boyfriend after he started buying expensive things out of the blue. Then my sister began dating him, and they ended up with a beach house. It turns out he stole millions from his uncle, who had recently passed away. Hey there! So, about 2 weeks ago, I, 27F, broke up with my boyfriend, Leo, 28M, after a year of dating. Turns out my sister Rachel, 24F, is now dating him. It's been quite the roller coaster, so let me give you some background. I've practically raised Rachel since our parents died in a car accident when I was 16, and she was just 13. They were driving home late from a party when a truck hit them, and that was it. We moved in with our aunt, who tried to take care of us but was always busy with work, so it was mostly just me and Rachel. I got super protective of her. I started working at 18, and eventually, Rachel moved in with me so she could finish her degree. For the past 3 years since she graduated, we've both been working and living separately, because her job is quite far from mine. I skipped college to start earning money and not burden our aunt. After a few years hustling different jobs, I started my own clothing line with some high school friends. It's doing pretty well, but we're aiming higher. Rachel, on the other hand, got a degree in economics and now works as an accountant. I met Leo through friends. He works in advertising. Financially, our lives were all pretty similar. But around 3 months ago, Leo started splurging on expensive gifts, luxury items, a new car, and even a beach vacation home. It was super sketchy because there was no way his promotion could cover all that. I asked him straight up multiple times, but he stuck to his promotion story. It didn't add up, so I reached out to his coworkers. They confirmed Leo hadn't been promoted and was actually slacking off more than ever. Big red flag. I confronted Leo and he flipped out, saying I had no right to talk to his coworkers and that I was being paranoid. He tried gaslighting me, but I stood my ground and broke up with him. I couldn't be with someone who might be involved in shady stuff. The day we broke up, I was too bummed to tell anyone. The next morning, I woke up to a bunch of texts from Rachel. She said Leo had reached out to her right after our breakup and invited her to his new vacation home. He wanted to make it clear how serious he was about her. Apparently, he realized during our breakup that he had feelings for Rachel all along and didn't want to lose her. Rachel admitted she'd always had a thing for Leo too, but kept it to herself because he was my boyfriend. Now that we were over, she figured it was okay to start seeing him. She had no idea why we broke up, so clearly Leo didn't tell her about the shady stuff I suspected. I called Rachel immediately because honestly, I was both annoyed and concerned. So, get this. My sister Rachel hooked up with my ex-boyfriend just a day after we broke up. Can you believe it? Despite everything, I still felt like I had to warn her about the kind of guy Leo really was. After all, she's my sister. When she picked up my call and I started explaining why Leo and I had split, she cut me off, saying she didn't want to hear it. Apparently, Leo had brainwashed her into thinking I was just jealous and trying to break them up because I wanted him back. She wouldn't let me get a word in, and eventually she snapped and started screaming at me. She said she understood I was upset, but they liked each other and wouldn't let me get in the way. She even accused me of being jealous because she won the lottery with Leo, and I lost it. I called her a sellout, told her she'd face the consequences herself, and hung up, blocking both of them everywhere. Even after blocking her, Rachel sent me photos from the vacation home Leo gifted her, and went so far as to create a fake account to do it. I was crushed since it felt like she chose Leo and a vacation home over our bond. Our parents are gone, leaving just the two of us, and it hurt that she'd throw that away so easily. I was so upset I couldn't even go to work for a few days. Eventually, I picked myself up and tried to move on. Then yesterday happened. Rachel finally called, using her friend's phone since I'd blocked her. She was crying so hard that I told her she could come over just to end the conversation. When I got home from work, she was there, sobbing. It turns out Leo is caught up in some fraud. He faked his uncle's will to get all his assets, but a cousin found the real one, and now Leo's in deep trouble. Because Leo transferred the vacation home to Rachel recently, she's being investigated too. She was terrified of going to jail and asked me to testify that she had no idea about Leo's shady dealings. She wanted me to promise I'd help her out. Honestly, I felt she was taking me for granted, so I told her I'd think about it. She flipped out, saying I was being petty, and that it was my fault for not warning her properly about Leo. That really pissed me off. We got into a huge fight, and she even threatened to tell the cops that I'd been with Leo up until 2 weeks ago and received expensive gifts from him. But I'd already returned everything to Leo, so I was in the clear. Rachel left after calling me names. and I felt my reaction was pretty justified. But after talking to some friends, they suggested I should put everything aside and testify for her, given the seriousness of the situation. They think she doesn't appreciate that I seem like I'm still trying to get back at her. I don't know what to do. Hey everyone, I feel like I should probably let her know I'm going to help her out. But my friends have a point too. Fraud is a big deal. I guess putting aside some personal grudges is the way to go for now. But man, she's definitely taken me for granted. It really ticked me off when she started blaming me for the mess she's in. I tried to explain things to her so many times, but she just cut me off on the phone and accused me of being jealous. Honestly, I'm super confused. So when my sister asked if I'd testify in court for her, I told her I'd think about it. Update. Hi guys. I got a lot of mixed opinions on my last post, which left me even more confused. I didn't know what to do or say to her until today. I've decided that if she asks again, I'll tell her yes, but I'm not reaching out to her first. She's only talking to me now because she's in a jam. Seriously, she didn't speak to me for 2 weeks before she got into trouble. I want her to stay out of jail more for the sake of our family's reputation than for her. I talked to my aunt, explained everything, and she said she'd get Rachel in touch with a good lawyer. I'm guessing Rachel already has one, but extra help won't hurt. Emotionally, I'm distancing myself from her. Those 2 weeks were really hurtful for me, and I can't just forget and move on. I bet she wouldn't be able to do it if she were in my shoes. So, if Rachel contacts me again, I'll agree to help her out. But like my friend said, I'll cut her out of my life afterward. It's going to be tough because I've always prided myself on being a good big sister. But she's not a baby anymore. She made her own decisions, and they were bad ones. I can't keep having the same relationship with her. Thank you all for the comments and support. I know some people will be disappointed with my decision, but my mind's made up. It's been 5 days since I last spoke to Rachel, and she hasn't reached out since. Some of you asked about Leo and whether he's contacted me after our breakup. Thankfully, no, he hasn't, and honestly, he totally deserves this. Update 2. So, it's been about 8 days since Rachel visited me, and 2 days ago, she saw our aunt. A lot of you in the comments said my aunt wasn't a good parental figure because I had to raise my sister and didn't get to go to college. But I want to defend my aunt. Like I mentioned before, she was really busy with work when we moved in with her and did the bare minimum, but that was still a big deal. Our grandparents live out of state, and moving in with them would have been a huge upheaval. Our aunt was the only one here willing to take us in, even if she was focused on her career. She wasn't an ideal parent, but she wasn't our parent. She took care of us when no one else could, and we still keep in touch and like her. Anyway, my aunt reached out to Rachel after I explained everything and offered to help by putting her in touch with a good lawyer. Rachel didn't respond for a couple of days, but finally visited her 2 days ago. Instead of focusing on her legal issues, Rachel spent most of the time blaming me for her predicament. My aunt tried to explain it wasn't my fault and that I had tried to warn Rachel about Leo multiple times, but Rachel wouldn't listen. Rachel even said that I should have texted her instead of blocking her if she wasn't ready to hear me out. She thinks I did all this on purpose because I was mad about her being with Leo. It's ridiculous, and frankly, I was really pissed off when my aunt told me. Rachel needs to look at herself and Leo instead of blaming me. After hearing all this from my aunt, I'm feeling unsure about helping her. I'm still on the fence about testifying for her, and I don't know what to do. My aunt did try to help by talking to Rachel about getting a lawyer, but Rachel seems more interested in blaming me than fixing her problems. Ugh, I'm so stuck on what to do next. So, she hooked Rachel up with one of her friends who's a top-notch lawyer. I guess Rachel's in good hands now, which is a relief for me. This way, I don't have to feel too guilty about not wanting to stand up for her. Honestly, it's not just this one incident. I've heard from a bunch of people that Rachel's been posting some really shady stuff about me on social media. I mean, who else would she be throwing shade at with posts about manipulative and cruel abusive family members? Does she seriously think I've been abusive? I can't think of a single thing I've done that would make her see me that way. Even some family members have reached out, asking what's going on between Rachel and me. I've kept it classy and just told them we've been having issues, but I'm pretty sure if people start asking her, she won't keep quiet and will try to make me look like the bad guy. It really bugs me that she's acting like this, especially when it's not even my fault. From my chat with our aunt, it seems Rachel even tried to get her to pick sides. But our aunt is sharp and was also pretty disturbed by Rachel's behavior when she visited. Rachel's just pushing away the people who were actually there for her. All she needs to do is admit she was wrong, especially about Leo, apologize, and make life easier for everyone, including herself. But I guess she's too proud. It's such a bummer because I gave up so much fun and freedom to support her. I worked hard to be successful so I could help her out. I don't think she even remembers that. If she did, she'd be grateful. But gratitude has to come from within, and if it doesn't, it says a lot about who she's become. Anyway, I'm glad I don't have to be part of her life anymore. Update 3. I really didn't expect Rachel to reach out after all the stuff she said to our aunt. Clearly, she blames me for this whole mess and isn't going to take back her words. Our aunt told me the legal process has already started, and Rachel will probably be summoned soon. Right now, it's just Leo who's involved, and all he has to do is prove she had nothing to do with it. In a few weeks, she might need my help, which is probably why she came to see me today. This time, she was much nicer, brought flowers, chocolates, and an apology note. When I opened the door, she immediately said she hadn't been thinking straight before and regretted what she said. She was in a bad place mentally and wanted me to forgive her. She totally understood why I needed time to decide whether to testify for her or not. But she really needed my help and was counting on me. She handed me the chocolates and stuff, but I gave it right back. I told her the only reason she was here was that she needed my help, not because she was truly sorry. I mentioned I'd spoken to our aunt, who told me everything Rachel had said, so I knew she genuinely blamed me and didn't need her apology. I was fine staying out of her life indefinitely. Rachel started to get upset, but quickly realized it wouldn't get her anywhere. She insisted she meant her apology and wanted to make things right, but if I didn't want to testify, she'd respect that. Then she left, but made sure to leave the chocolates, flowers, and note at my doorstep. I feel kind of bad, but it's for the best. I hope her lawyer bails her out without my help, because I'm still confused about what to do. Things are just really weird right now. Update 4. Hey, so Rachel got acquitted. Her lawyer managed to prove she wasn't involved in the fraud. It was all on Leo. I guess Leo tried to shift suspicion by transferring some property, like his new luxury car, to other people, including his mom. No idea what he was thinking, but he used Rachel, and I'm glad he broke up with me when he did. Otherwise, it could have been me in her shoes. I'm also relieved I didn't have to testify. As for Leo, he's probably going to get convicted since all the evidence is against him, and his cousins are united in their stance. So, one of the people involved actually reached out to me, asking if I'd be willing to testify against him if it came down to it. I agreed because, honestly, I just want him to face the music for what he did. But hey, nothing's happened on that front yet, so I guess we'll see how things shake out. On another note, I'm super relieved that Rachel isn't in hot water anymore. That said, it doesn't mean everything's magically fixed between us. We still aren't talking, although she has kept in touch with our aunt. I think she really needs someone in her corner right now, especially since most of the family is keeping their distance after all those posts she made about me. Everyone knows how much I've done for her, so her behavior has just come off as incredibly ungrateful. And even without knowing all the details, people could tell she was in the wrong. But hey, I don't have a problem if others want to keep talking to her. I'm just focusing on my own happiness, and I want the same for her too. I just can't be in touch with her right now. Maybe one day we can sort things out and get back to how we used to be. But for now, it's all too fresh for me to move on from. Here's hoping things get better eventually. But until then, I'm good on my own.